There's the book in at Amazon. You can buy it at Amazon. A very nice book. Okay, go Yale.
Okay. Francis' view of the economic world. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Provide me only with the food I need. Lest being full, I deny you, saying, who is the Lord? Or being in want, I steal and profane the name of my God. Proverbs.
So that's how Pope Francis looks at view about what an economic world he wants. A church which is poor and for the poor. Poverty. Okay, next.
From ano to? Anong LS? LS
Laudato
246.
Si.
Laudato Si 246. O God of the poor, help us to rescue the abandoned and forgotten of this earth, so precious in your eyes. Touch the hearts of those who look only for gain at the expense of the poor and the earth. Teach us to discover the worth of each thing.
Diba? So, like what the Blessed Mother says earlier, poverty, which is also wealth. Because poverty of this material world is wealth to us. So, continue.
Helping the poor financially must always be a provisional solution in the praise of pressing needs. The broader objective should always be to allow them a dignified life through work. And caring for the poor isn't simply a matter of alleviating material want, but it is also a matter of care and closeness. Closeness is a beautiful word for each of us. Do I know how to draw near? Francis asked elsewhere, do I have the strength? Do I have the courage to touch those who are marginalized? Do I have the courage to draw near, or do I always keep my distance? Do I have the courage to close the distance, as Jesus did? I think that it may be very difficult to do good without getting our hands dirty. Jesus got dirty with his closeness.
Okay. Pope John Paul II also says something like this. We have to be close to those who suffer, so that the hand that helps will not be seen as a handout, but it should be a sharing between brothers and sisters. Because like if you give, it seems that it's a handout, and then the recipient becomes, but it's like there's no dignity. We have to be close to those who suffer, so that the hand that helps will not be seen as a handout, but as a sharing between brothers and sisters. So not handout, because handout is they're like mendicants. They lose their dignity. But it has to be a sharing between brothers and sisters. That's the kind of that's why Pope Francis says provisional solution. To give the poor financially is just temporary. Provisional solution. That's not the real solution. But the real solution is How about helping our brothers and sisters in need? How about teaching them how to fish so that they can eat fish for the rest of their lives? Teaching them how to grow their own food, making them as partners. Not there is no master slave relationship. A sharing between brothers and sisters. That's what Pope Francis is saying, and also what Pope John Paul II is saying. Okay, continue.
There are three things that separate us from Jesus: wealth, vanity, and pride. Possessions are so dangerous. They lead you immediately to vanity, and you believe you are important. But when you believe you are important, your head swells and you become lost. The solution is the path of divesting, literally taking off our garments, giving away our cloaks,
Like Saint
by
Francis of
becoming
Assisi.
by becoming poor, we may become rich. This happens each time I strip myself of something, not only of the excess, to give to a poor person, to a poor community, to so many poor people who lack everything, because the poor enrich me in so much as it is Jesus who acts in him. Unsa daw, Vic?
Okay. He says, I strip myself of something, but not only of the excess, to give to the poor person, to a poor community, to so many people who lack everything. Because the poor enrich me. Let us read Blessed Mother. Blessed Mother says, He is God with us. Okay, this part. His cry is alleviation for all sorrow. His poverty is wealth for all misery. That's the message that we read earlier. So when we become poor, then we become rich. Rich in the eyes of God, not rich in the eyes of man. So because vanity, three things that separate us from Jesus: wealth, vanity, and pride. Possessions are so dangerous. They will lead us immediately to vanity. And you believe you are important. That is why,
You're naglaki ang ulo mo.
that is why, when you give to the poor, because you think you're so important, you are the master and he is the slave. So when you give financially to the poor, you don't have the real intentions of sharing, but you exercise being the master. I am the master, you are the slave. That's vanity. That's why your head swells. Dakong ulo. And you become lost. So the solution is the path of divesting. Literally taking off our garments like St. Francis of Assisi, the stripping, the famous stripping in Assisi. So that it's not just extra, like what they're saying, excess. They just give their excess. No. It has to be a sharing between brothers and sisters, not just your excess. To a poor person or to a poor community, sharing. Because when you share your excess, that means you still have your power. And you're still the master. And they are the slave. Okay. The poor enrich me. It is Jesus who acts in him. Okay, next.
Those who cling to riches are not concerned with either the past or the future. Wealth is an idol that needs nothing. What do these riches and concerns do to us? They merely cut us out of time. Those attached to wealth, therefore, cut off their relationship with the future, with God. Each and every one of us needs to examine our conscience and find out what riches keep us from approaching Jesus on the road of life. They are the riches that come from our culture. The first is well-being, or comfort, or luxury. The culture of well-being that makes us lazy and selfish. We think comfort is enough. Our concern, our material well-being, leads us to make bad choices. Francis refers to a possible dialogue between spouses. No more than one child? No, because then we can't go on vacation. We can't go here. We can't buy a house. We are in love with temporal things, while Jesus offers us is infinite. We like the temporary because we are afraid of God's time, the end of time.
Uh-oh. Is this real?
Hmm.
Does this happen in families? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, next. So these are the riches that separate us from God.
Mm-mm. Talaga, better daw to be poor, pero ambot lang.
You have
Ambot
to
lang.
digest. Okay, go.
The riches of the market seduce us into settling for too little, for vacations rather than for children, for an earthly paradise walled away from humanity instead of for God. There is a mystery in the possession of wealth. Riches have the capacity to seduce, to make us believe we are in an earthly paradise. I recall that in the 1970s, I saw for the first time a closed community of people who were wealthy. It was closed to protect against thieves, to be secure. The desire of these people was to be enclosed in that sort of earthly paradise. When this happens, we close ourselves off to protect possessions. We lose the horizon, and living without a horizon is sad. We need to put on the brakes. We need to grow in the conviction that a decrease in the pace of production and consumption can at times give rise to another form of progress and development.
So that's like what happened with the pandemic. It slows down production and consumption, but this will lead to progress and development. Healing.
Oh.
Okay, next.
Putting one of the gospel parables into modern terms, Francis asks how the rich man did not notice that the poor beggar Lazarus was suffering at his doorstep. When the rich man left the house, perhaps the car he left in had darkly tinted windows, so he couldn't see out.
Tinted.
But surely the eyes of his soul were tinted dark, so he couldn't see. And thus the rich man saw only his life and didn't realize what was happening to Lazarus. Francis notes that 3 men are named in this parable: Lazarus, Abraham, and Moses. But the rich man had no name, because the
Clueless.
worldly lose their name, which is merely a feature of the well-off crowd who need nothing, who need nothing more, and therefore who lose out on an eternity with God. Beware, says Francis, your riches may cause you to lose everything.
Cut your time with God. Next.
The market tends to promote extreme consumerism in an effort to sell its products, and people can easily get caught up in a whirlwind of needless buying and spending. Compulsive consumerism. This paradigm leads people to believe that they are free as long as they have the supposed freedom to consume. The market caters to people's emptiness. When people become self-centered and self-enclosed, their greed increases. The emptier a person's heart is, the more he or she needs things to buy, own, and consume. It becomes almost impossible to accept the limits imposed by reality. In this horizon, a genuine sense of the common good also disappears. Obsession with a consumerist lifestyle can only lead to mutual destruction. So many of the rich have not the faintest idea of what to do with their possessions, vainly showing off their supposedly superiority and leaving behind them so much waste.
Grabe, no? And that's reality. Like I look at our closet in the house. I saw a lot of clothes. Now, like, it's just me. It's just me. How to do with lots of clothes in my closet? And then I retired, and I want to do the mission now. I just need a few clothes, but our closet are full. So that's reality. In every family, this is really happening. Even without knowing, even if just buy one shirt every month or every 3 months or every 6 months, it piles up. Like for us, 10 years in the US, I look at my closet because just not me. A lot of people are giving me clothes. I can see a lot of clothes in my closet. But that's reality. This happens in every family. Next.
So, as we must do with other addictions, we need to acknowledge the problem, reject the lures of the market,
Advertisement.
and kick the habit. Many people know that our current progress and the mere amassing of things and pleasures are not enough to give meaning and joy to the human heart. Yet, they feel unable to give up what market sets for them. Happiness means knowing how to limit some needs which only diminish us. But this is hard for individuals because a constant flood of new consumer goods can baffle the heart and prevent us from cherishing each other and each moment. It is not easy to promote this kind of healthy humility or happy sobriety when we consider ourselves autonomous. When we exclude God from our lives, or replace him with our own ego, and think that our subjective feeling can define what is right and what is wrong.
Okay. What's the solution?
The solution is to turn to the Christian church and to God. Christian spirituality proposes a growth marked by moderation and the capacity to be happy with little. It is a return to that simplicity which allows us to stop and appreciate the small things. Such sobriety, when lived freely and consciously, is liberating.
Okay. That's the solution. Okay. We're almost done.
Pope Francis.
Pope Francis instead affirms that business is a noble vocation, directed to producing the wealth and improving our world. It can be a fruitful source of prosperity for the areas in which it operates, especially if it sees the creation of jobs as an essential part of its service to the common good. But hiring workers must be about more than profit. It cannot lead to abuse of workers, which Francis referred to hyperbolically as slave labor, as he did when he mourned the deaths of more than 700 workers when a factory building collapsed in Bangladesh. This slave labor exploits the most beautiful gift which God gave man, the ability to create, to work, to discover our dignity. How many of our brothers and sisters in the world are in this situation at the hands of these economic, social, and political attitudes?
So Pope Francis says it should be profit over people and uh, creation, ecology. Because people today profit over people and economy, people and ecology. So profit should be below, not above people and ecology.
Through Francis, and though Francis sees business as noble, he stridently condemns the principle of profit maximization because it reflects a misunderstanding of the very concept of the economy. He warns that the economy accepts every advance in technology with a view to profit, without concern for its potentially negative impact on human beings. And he chastises those obsessed with profits. We need to reject a magical conception of the market, which would suggest that problems can be solved simply by an increase in the profits of companies of individuals. When he meets with business groups, he calls on them to make the jobs of their employees and the lives of these workers' families secure and stable, rather than to focus solely on the bottom line. He exhorts them to relieve mothers and fathers of families of the worry of not being able to give a future or even a present to their children, and to act in such a way that one task creates another, one responsibility creates other responsibilities. Hope generates other hopes.
Okay, last page.
More material possessions and great consumption aren't always or even generally better. A consumer who never feels satisfied with his material life, who always wants more, is not on the path to God. Christian teaching has always been that God made people to have an infinite desire for Him, not to have an insatiable desire for things of the world.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Next is, what's the vision of capitalism? So that's for Thursday.
Okay.
So that's it for today. I hope you learned something for tonight.